Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Crucible Chat. Yes, it's Saturday, it's that time of the week. It's been such a long time since I've said that. But it's that time of the week where I get to talk about whatever the fuck it is I want. In the background, there's actually a bit of Battlefield 4, which I've started playing recently. But let's get out of the way with all that. Yes, it's been a while, I'm dusting off the cobwebs here. And this is going to be a rant. This is going to be rough. So, preface before I talk about this, I always said I would never talk about politics on this channel. Simply because, I don't know, it's something that polarizes opinion far too much. It's something that I kind of feel is like dropping a grenade. You know, you either jump on it or you run away from it. I was always been running away from it because I kind of didn't want to bring that side to my channel. Plus, I know different people, different viewers have different political opinions. So whereas my values might be a certain thing, someone else's might clash with that, and it could cause arguments, and I try to avoid the drama on my channel. However, I'm going to change it up this time, because this might be a one-off. This is going to be the only time I talk about politics on this channel. But I am fucked off. Really fucked off. So, of course, unless you've been living under a rock, it was the EU referendum this week, and the UK voted to leave the EU. Now, I'm going to say this straight away. I'm a Remain person. I believe that England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland are better off in the EU. But no, the English public voted to leave. The British public, because it was more than just England. They voted to leave in their fucking droves. It was election. I mean, I've been watching the stats. I sat up for most of the night watching the results coming in. This is one of the highest turnouts of any kind of democratic action to happen in the UK for about 25 years, something like that. 24 years? 1992, yeah, 24 years. There was something along the lines of 70-odd% voter turnout, which is unheard of in the last few decades. There was hardly any rejected ballots. There was millions of votes cast. 33 million votes cast, in fact. And they voted to leave. Now, the reason why I'm incredulous to this, normally I'm interested in politics, but I don't generally get so worked up about things. But the problem is the Leave campaign. Not necessarily that people want to leave the EU. I don't agree with it, but, you know, this is... If there's a majority opinion, it's a majority opinion. There's not much I can do about that. But it's the fact that the Leave campaign lied and cheated their way into the nation's hearts. They jumped on every single negative prejudice they could. They would some of the Leave campaigners were condemned worldwide by people, by world leaders, by the heads of state, and still they got the votes. And the worst part is, watching the news, watching the reporters going out and speaking to people who voted for Leave, people genuinely believe that that's the case. So case in point, there was a big thing made about the fact that the UK, like every other member state of the EU, has to give money to the EU as a membership fee. Difference is, the UK gets so much of it back in a rebate. And then on top of that has access to the free market and stuff like that. The worked out, the contribution from the UK is about £350 million a week. Now, where that figure came from is fucking beyond me, because it was widely reported the figure's actually under 200 million, something like 190 million or something stupid like that. But then we get over 50% of it back in a rebate, and then we get all the benefits of trade with the EU. But this £350 million a week thing was emblazoned on buses that were going around the country with people like Boris Johnson, the mad fuckwit that used to be the London mayor, going around saying that £350 million a week, we don't have to pay it to the EU, it can be spent on the NHS. Now, since it was announced that Leave had won, Nigel Farage, the other moronic fuckwit that's involved with Leave campaigning from the UK Independence Party, he's already come out and said, well, that figure's a lie, that I wouldn't have promised that. So already it's immediately debunked that figure is a lie, despite what the fact that every economist, the head of the NHS, What senior Conservative politicians, senior Labour politicians, they all came out and said that that figure is bullshit. And yet it's stuck. It's stuck in the nation's heart. And there are, in interviews, despite the fact that Farage came out and on the media, it's been shared thousands upon thousands of times, saying that it's not a true figure. There are people who still think, oh, well, we can have that 350 million a week to the NHS. You fucking can't, because it doesn't exist. It was a lie. In the same way that they lied about immigration. They said that leaving the EU was going to stop immigration, will allow us to close our borders or whatever. Net migration to the UK last year was somewhere in the region of 300,000. Over half of that was from outside the EU. We can't stop that. And to be able to deal with the EU, to be able to carry on our trade agreements, we're probably still going to have to accept EU migrants under freedom of movement. So leaving the EU makes no fucking difference to immigration. But they're all going, oh, send them back. It's like, what the fuck have we woken up in? Have we woken up in the Third Reich here? Get rid of everybody who looks different to you. Get rid of everybody who believes different to you. This is not my England. This is not my vote. And one of the worst things about it is the margin was so slim. It's 51.9% of the vote went to leave and 48.1% went to remain. That is not a majority. That is not a mandate. That is not representative of the whole country. And then if you break it down even further, there are about 65 million people in England. In the UK. 46 million of those were eligible to vote. 70% of those turned out, which was about 33 million. 33 million divided into the proportions who actually did vote comes to 17,410,742 for leave and 16,141,241 for remain. Just under 17.5 million people have decided that we are to leave the EU. That's a quarter of the population. How can a quarter of the population of this island be representative of the whole population of this island? I'm sorry, but that is not right to me. That is not a mandate. That is not anything that makes sense. We shouldn't be leaving the EU. There is no fucking good reason to leave the EU. There are issues with the EU. I was very much behind the idea of staying in to reform it, to change it, to make it a better deal for England, better deal for the rest of the EU bloc. But no, we are leaving it now, and there's nothing we can do about it. At least I hope there is something we can do about it, but I severely suspect there is nothing we can do about it. David Cameron, the Prime Minister, he is resigning, which means we're very likely to have Boris Johnson, yes, that fuckwit, as Prime Minister. He's definitely in the lead to take over as the leader of this country. And the man's a fucking loon. This is also a man who wants to sell off the NHS. It's a man who believes that the NHS, that health services should be paid for. A bit like the American model, where everyone's supposed to have health insurance. If you don't have health insurance, you can get patched up at a hospital, then sent home, but you got to fucking pay for your drugs. You got to pay for every treatment that you get. You got to pay thousands upon thousands of pounds to have a kid. I mean, fuck's sake. We've had 50 odd years of the NHS. And the Tory government, the Conservative government, have been in power for 6 years as a coalition, and 5 years as a coalition and 1 year, just over a year on their own. And they're dismantling everything that made Britain great. You've got people like Jeremy Hunt systematically pissing off all the doctors. You've got Michael Gove pissing off all of the lawyers and all of the teachers and causing strikes. We've lost Tata Steel because the fucking business secretary couldn't get his fucking shit together and save the company. So the people losing jobs left, right and centre. It is just a fucking mess. This government has been the worst one in not in decades, in a century. They have possibly destroyed this country. David Cameron made a gaffe in the last election campaign where he wanted to talk about a culture-defining moment or something along the lines of that, but he said a career-defining moment before quickly correcting himself. Well, David Cameron's got his career-defining moment. He's got what he'll be remembered for, and he'll be the one remembered for breaking up the United Kingdom. Because Scotland have already come out. Scotland voted pretty much unanimously to stay in the EU. That means then they've already come out. Nicola Sturgeon, head of the Scottish National Party, has already come out and said that she wants to push forward for a second independence referendum. So Scotland are going to fucking leave. Northern Ireland voted the same way as Scotland. And there's now talk about reunification between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So the United Kingdom is going to be broken up. I don't understand why people aren't fucking terrified by this. Because I am. Moreover, the shite about foreigners, the shite about the NHS, all the lies that the Leave campaign said to get themselves this win, it makes this country look like the petty, small-minded fucktard of the world. I don't even know how to describe how I feel about it. Is it my UK, the UK that I believe in, is an inclusive country. I'm not racist, I'm not about anything, I'm not homophobic, I'm not anything. I accept everybody. Everybody is their own thing. People might be dicks, I might not like people, but I accept everybody. And I accept their right to exist in this country. And we've had a Leave vote that makes us look like we don't accept anybody in this country. People going around saying we have to take our country back. Take it back from who? From the EU? The EU never controlled us. Everyone going about all these unelected lawmakers in the EU dictating what our laws are going to be. The EU tells us 7% of our laws every year. That's it. 93% of our laws are made in this country, and the 7% that the EU dictate are usually related to the EU's variations on our laws. So it's all stuff that goes in, or it's all laws that get dictated around the whole continent. I'm so upset and I'm so disappointed by this because this isn't my UK. I want to live in a country that accepts and tolerates. I don't want to live in a country where racism or... I don't know how to describe it, where like racism and prejudice, where that exists. I don't want to live in a country where people I know who are EU migrants can be just kicked out. Because that's the other thing, we have so many EU migrants in this country, what's going to happen to them? And what's going to happen to the British people who live in like Spain and Italy? And the thing is, the EU migrants that come to this country don't use the NHS by and large, they pay more tax, they're young, they work. The migrants that we send out to Spain are all going out there to retire in the sun. They're not contributing to the Spanish economy, they're not contributing to the Italian economy, they're sitting there living off their pension that they get from this country and just sponging off whatever host country that they're in. The Polish come over here and build. You know? Germans come over here and work in the financial markets. And I'm generalising here, but you get the point that I'm hammering at here. We are fucked. And I'm so upset by it, and I know this has been ranty, I know this has been one-sided and biased, and I'm not making any attempt to talk for the Leave side because I don't believe in it. I don't expect you to agree with me. I don't expect you to accept what I have to say, because at the end of the day, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I'm certainly not going to tell anybody how to vote. But these are my opinions, and this... I'm scared. I'm upset and I'm really worried. I'm worried about Emma's job, I'm worried about my job, I'm worried about prospects in the future, and I'm worried I want to have kids at some point in the next few years, and I worry about what kind of country we're going to leave. What country will my eventual children grow up in? Will it be one where we get on with our neighbours, or will it be one where we are an isolated island? Where even the countries that are landlocked to us or that are just across the water don't want to be part and parcel of what we have. That scares me immensely. I mean, I have family in Scotland. I don't want to have to get a fucking visa to go see them. it could be as extreme as that. So, yeah. Thank you for listening to me rant. I really do hope you agree with me, but obviously this is politics. I understand if you don't. And I don't want to have a huge debate about this, but I felt like I needed to get this off my chest. So before I say something that I'll probably regret, I'm going to leave this here. If you enjoyed this, please do leave a like and subscribe. And come back next time I do a Crucible chat. I don't know when it'll be. I don't know if it'll be next week or in the coming weeks. I don't know. This might just be a one-off for now, but thank you for watching. Good night.